What's up, guys? Melikan here from MKAU Gaming, bringing you the latest and greatest in video game news and reviews. This is episode 7 of the MKAU show, season number 2. And today we are joined by Sub-Zero2K.
What's up?
We're joined by Slendy.
Yeah, g'day.
Brutal Leo.
Yo.
Yeah, good.
And one of our newest reviewers, Brush Rackham.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Welcome to the group. So before we get started, because we know about the rest of us, let's talk about yourself there for a little bit, Brush.
Yeah. Not much to tell really. A bit slow on the streaming side of things, but I've been playing games pretty much since I was about 4. So I started off with the NES and worked my way up through to the PlayStation, and then I've just pretty much been PlayStation the whole way through.
Have you got a particular game that you like to play more so than others?
Pretty much anything Final Fantasy, really.
Anything Final Fantasy. It's a good series, so I can understand that.
Other than that, likes of Resident Evil, and Metal Gear Solid until Metal Gear Solid got a little bit too weird.
Yep, fair enough. I can't say I played too much of Metal Gear Solid, but I know it's got a pretty big following. Oh, who's the noob with the phone in the background?
You.
No, it wasn't. My phone's on silent. Anyway, before I derail us already, as most of us are aware, Mixer have recently decided they're shutting down, and I think that's as of, the 22nd of this month?
Yep.
Possibly.
So,
I can't remember.
Yeah, no, I can't remember. Everyone sort of jumped ship. So, basically, I figured we'd talk about, Mixer closing down, the different streaming platforms that are available, where we think Mixer possibly went wrong, what they could have done better, and what the remaining streaming platforms could do to basically try and stay with it and actually compete with Twitch. So, Subby, you obviously had quite a few followers on Mixer. How would you say it affected you?
Look, I wouldn't say it have a huge amount. I think Slendy, you had more than me, didn't you, Slendy, at some?
5.5K or something, I think.
Yeah.
Holy hell,
Did you
okay.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you were doing it a lot more before I did it. I've only been doing it for the past maybe 2 years, possibly. I think you were doing it quite a lot longer. Look, Mixer didn't do anything. That's their problem. They didn't. They did nothing. That was what their problem was. They could have done anything, and it would have been better what they were doing. So, yeah. I mean, what they do, pump out a clip feature in the 2 years that I was doing it, and Embers and clip it, and that's it. Stuff that they already had partners doing, they could have pumped that out at any stage. So, yeah.
I feel like their promoting was pretty bad, realistically. Like, I mean, you see Twitch here, there, and everywhere on TV.
Yeah.
I
think one PAX. I think the first PAX Oz we went to, Mixer was there. So that was 2013, and every PAX since they were non-existent. So they just gave up from back in 2013. It was pretty much any advertising I saw them ever do. So I don't think I don't get why they spent the money on the big streamers. It just feels like they gave up from the get-go. But yeah, I don't know. Makes no sense to me, to be honest.
Yep, fair enough. So, Slendy, as you said, you had probably about 5,500. So, would you say it's affected you a little bit more so, or?
I mean, it affected me in the sense that, this is where I started. This is where I met, like lifelong friends. This is where I met you guys, for instance, So for me, I kind of took it to heart a little bit in that sense. Like, it took me a couple of days to kind of go, all right, now I've got to find out what I want to do, It really affected me in the sense that all my relationships that I made, it basically crumbled, because it's like they didn't care about us. So why is anyone else? Like, I even considered giving up on streaming. Why am I doing this? I might as well just, get back, start reviewing more with you guys, and that's pretty much it. But seeing everyone come over and support and whatnot, I found that a lot better. So for me, once I kind of realized it's more about the people within the platform than the platform itself, I was pretty well good after that, my business sense kicked in, and I was like, well, my supporters and everyone I support are going here, and we're still supporting each other. It's just a different platform, so who cares?
Yep. Fair enough. How about yourself there, Leo? How has it affected you at all, or were you mostly on Twitch anyway?
Well, sort of sharing what Lance said, I was aware of Twitch because of its exposure at conventions, because of its advertising and its exposure, not only at cons, but just in general. Like if you went to Google and typed in streaming platform, I think Twitch was like top 3. So I just defaultly went there because it seemed like the outlet that I had been exposed to and seen other famous streamers use. And I felt like, with Lance's guidance and a lot of the setup from the other members that have used the service as well, I found sort of the initial process, getting it all running. Obviously, the first time you do something, it's a bit overwhelming, like, with Streamlabs and linking to Twitch and things like that. But in terms of like user-friendly, like compatibility, like something that you can sort of pick up, and once you do it a couple of times, it's very much click, 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 this is the game, go. So I found Twitch just to be the default way to go. When I heard that Mixer was closing, again, echoing what Lance said, I wasn't surprised because I hadn't really heard that much. Like to be honest, I only knew of Mixer because both Lance and Staceface were using it. If it wasn't for them using that platform, I don't know if I'd ever known of it. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what Twitch are going to do in the future, but whatever they're doing right now, it seems to be working by default. Does it affect me? Not particularly. I'm saddened for the people that had a huge following on Mixer, obviously, because that is a lot of time and effort and content, and it's very hard to sort of seemingly start again, especially in modern day times. We hear it all the time. People go, oh, I have to create a new Instagram, I have to create a new Facebook, and you have to build up that exposure, build up that content, the hashtags, whatever else. So it is, to sort of have your work just be like, see ya, that obviously sucks, and it's terrible to sort of seemingly start again. But the one thing that is true is what Slendy was saying before, is that the online community is sometimes there can be your greatest allies. And when situations like this happen, it was actually really comforting and wholesome to see everyone go, hey man, Mix is closing, send your links, let's all follow each other. I mean, that's the power of the good community members and the power of the internet. And it's cool to see situations like that. People go, yep, it sucks, but hey, let's follow each other and let's just go to this together as a unit. And I thought that was really awesome, because that's a rare thing to see in this time, in this age, is the internet being used for good. So I hope it works.
I mean, we didn't start from scratch. I mean, we did bring over all our closest regulars, viewers, and friends that we had made over there. So like 2 years for me wasn't a waste. Like, sure, it's disappointing that we all did put so much of our spare time that we already probably didn't have into it, but and then just to have it pulled away because it didn't suit them, or they didn't want to, with all the stuff that was going on, they just thought it's easier to pull the plug instead of having to deal with it like an adult. So, we're not starting again. We've got all our active followers. We just build from there again, I guess. And I think everyone's doing quite well, to be honest. Straight off the bat, like if you were to go to Twitch from fresh, you'd be struggling to get past that couple of viewers. And most of us are hitting, 10 plus straight away in each stream. So I think everyone's doing pretty good.
Yeah, no, fair enough. All right, well, looking from the outside in, both Brash not really streaming at all, and then myself I kind of stopped streaming probably about a year and a half or so ago. So for me, yes, it hasn't really affected me at all, but obviously I've seen quite a bit of negativity from some people who were really upset with having to, in their words, start again on Twitch. Because as you guys have said, you build up a community, you put in all these hours, and suddenly you've almost got to do it all again. So I've seen a bit of negativity. I don't know about Brash. How about yourself? Have you?
Yeah, I've seen a bit of negativity, but not heaps. Like the fact that the followings are so good, and like I follow people, not so much like I follow a few guys on Mixer, or did, but I follow you all on. Well, I'm trying to now follow you all on Twitch because I follow a lot of people on Twitch, and same with like YouTube as well. I'm subscribed to a lot of people on YouTube, but I think if the following's good enough and like should be, then just going from one platform to another makes it a lot easier for them, I think. But as both Leo and Lance have said, like I had no idea about Mixer until Stace was like, "Hey, follow me," and I was like, "Oh, yeah, right. What is it?" And yeah, and then I was trying to navigate, trying to follow people on Mixer, and yeah, but I think the community is good enough that a lot of people shouldn't be affected too bad.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I know the negativity that was there. I guess it was originally more of they were upset at having to lose things, but once they got back on board with Twitch, and noticed everything, I guess climbing fairly quickly, a lot of that sort of negativity and being upset just sort of vanished because they've seen how successful they can be already. And not only that, I mean, Twitch, you need what, 50 followers and only a couple of hours to be an affiliate before you can start making money. And I know streaming's not all about making money, but that's certainly a big plus side on Twitch's behalf, which I personally think is something that Mixer may have done wrong. Lance, as you were saying, to get embers or anything like that took forever before anyone could have them. And Mixer were very hesitant in making people partners.
Yeah, I mean, Mixer make it a lot harder. Well, to be a partner on either platform, I guess, is a bit of a hurdle. But, why not? Like monetizing with Embers, it's a win-win for the streamer and for Mixer. So I never understood why it took so long to do it. Like they get a good cut of someone buying bundles. Why would they just not? Why would they hold back on doing that? I don't get it. So
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. They just did stupid things. I don't understand anything they did. And then why release one, like I said, that clip feature, and then just a week later they pulled plug on the whole platform? Like, the only advertising they did was bring a couple of big names across. But what's that going to do? Unless people are watching those people, they're still not going to know who Mixer is. Go to events, go to cons. I don't know. Bundle something in live subscriptions. I don't know. So many different things they could have done.
Yeah. So I think one of the big things for Twitch is they get a lot of revenue and stuff through ads.
Yeah, ads, exactly.
So, that's something that Mixer obviously didn't have. So what do we think that other streaming platforms like DLive and all those sorts of platforms, for example, what do we think that they can take from what's happened with Mixer to make sure they actually last?
Anything, dude. They just have to do something, and they've already done something better.
Basically, do the opposite of what Mixer did.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know the extent of like the streaming platforms to guys like Lance and I guess Slendy and everyone else, but I feel like a lot of these new products that get launched, it's very rushed. Similar to the same with like computer parts, like they'll bring out a new graphics card, and then you'll go, "Oh, great, I have to get that," and then arguably within 4 months they'll drop support of it, and you'll go, "Oh, okay, so what happens now?" And I feel like with Mixer, it was very much no, let's compete with Twitch. Let's do this now. Let's make another platform. Let's have it Microsoft, support be the main focus. And everyone's like, great, yeah, cool. I'm on PC, I'm on Xbox. That works for me. And then almost as quickly as it began, the support kind of just left. And from the clipping and the embers and things like that, it's like, okay, that's sort of the default stock standard thing that every other platform has. You're not creating anything new. Like if you create a new product, it's got to be in competition, but it's also got to make a loud enough noise that people that are on Twitch go, "What's happening over here on Mixer?" I like the sound of that. That seems engaging, and they're doing things different. I don't think Mixer ever got off the ground and created anything that was different, other than the fact it was Microsoft's, support enabled by the fact that you could just use your live account. So in terms of DLive and every other platform that's using a live streaming service, if they're going to compete with Twitch, they're going to do things in a different way. That's going to, one, be user friendly, and two, it's going to be, I guess, maybe even more engaging with subscribers and things like that. Otherwise, Twitch is just going to dominate, and it's going to be like the Uber of streaming. No one's, you're going to have other apps, but at the end of the day, you're always going to go back to Uber. At the end of the day, if the other apps don't sort of create something to compete with, you're just going to go back to Twitch anyway. So I think they just need to create something that's going to be, that's going to be enough that people will go, hey, yeah, cool. I can't do that on Twitch. That's cool. Whatever that may be.
Yeah, look, I've never streamed on DLive, so I don't really have any input on what they're doing wrong or doing right, to be honest. I don't know if you have, Slendy,
Oh, I've
or even
never
looked
done
into it.
anything like
I've never. Yeah, I don't
The
know.
only extra platform I've looked at is Trovo, and that's just because it's come up a few times since Mixer's shut down because a few people are going there. But even then, I still don't know what it is.
Well, they look pretty much like a clone of each other, don't they? To me.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I looked at it
Just looks
briefly,
like,
and I was
yeah.
like, yeah, okay, I'm not even going to bother.
The two or three biggest categories on DLive are mobile games. It's PUBG Mobile, COD Mobile, and just people randomly talking to the camera. So I think if you're a mobile game streamer, great. But if not, you're not getting, a whole category like League of Legends, for example, is 80 people watching. That's it. So I don't know. I know nothing about it. Just doesn't look like it's very busy over there.
Yeah, no, fair enough. So from the outside looking in, Brash, what do you notice were the biggest differences between Twitch, for example, and Mixer, and what, from an outsider's perspective, what do you think that Mixer was doing wrong?
Well, first off, same thing. Like they aren't putting their name there. Well, they weren't putting their name out there, like as much as Twitch or any of the other streaming sort of sites are at the moment. But I think another thing, and I found when I was having a bit of a look when the whole Mixer thing happened, not even the employees in Mixer knew about it. Like one of their employees put up on Twitter like a statement saying, just to let you know how much we didn't know about this, I was getting told 3 days prior to start getting photos and stuff ready for our anniversary.
Yep.
So I think communication's key, and I don't think Mixer really had too much of it.
Look, they've had that Facebook deal going on, I think, under the blankets for quite a while, because you don't overnight, in 24 hours, you don't negotiate with Facebook contracts for all your partners.
Yeah.
In overnight, it just doesn't happen. Like they've had it going on for a while, and this whole, sexual predator stuff with partners and stuff. Their answer is, let's not. I don't want to deal with this. Let's just push the button now, and make everything go away.
So
Yeah.
do we think their reasoning that they gave us for closing down, do we think that's a bit of a cop-out? Like, obviously, it will have, there are obviously some ramifications of what the reasoning was, for example, and, don't get me wrong, it's horrible reasons, and it should never happen to anybody. But on the same token, and I don't want to sound like I'm normalizing this, but that happens across every platform. So this is why, in my opinion, I think it's a cop out. I think it was a case of, we're not making enough money, let's just can it. Do you guys have thoughts on that, or
What happens across all platforms?
the harassment and all that sort of
Oh
stuff?
yeah, but other platforms seem to try to deal with it, where they didn't at all.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think
the only thing they ever addressed was to do with the BLM movement, and even then it was pretty piss poor.
yeah. I think when it comes to dealing with, topical, trending social movements like Black Lives Matter and all sorts of intense, serious matters like that, like I was saying before, the internet can be your biggest ally, it can be the biggest enemy. You'll get guys in there that just go, why is this on a streaming platform? And you'll get other people on there that are like, yes, thank you for doing this. Was it a case of a cop out and them just being like, well, this has happened, let's get rid of it? I think, honestly, like if you break it down, look at it as a business, I think that like the selling off was going to happen eventually. Whether that's because of COVID, whether that's because they dropped support, who knows? Did this situation happen at a very strange time to then a couple of days later being like, goodbye, Mixer? Yeah. And you kind of look at it and go, did this equal that? I think it was too big of an issue for Mixer to try and contain with everything else that's happening in the States and everything else that's happening worldwide right now. And I think they just kind of went, hey, you know how we're doing that merger or that sale? Yeah, let's just do it now. Can we? Is that an option? Can we just do that now? We can. Okay, cool. Let's do that now. So I think that's why that kind of happened so quickly. Do I think that they should have addressed it properly? Yes. Will they? No, because I just don't think it's in their interest, and that's really sad. Had they continued and not addressed it, I think people would have left in
Well,
thousands.
they were already leaving.
Yeah, but I think like had they not addressed it, as a business at all, like let's say hypothetically Mixer was to continue. Let's say today, you guys after the stream, after this podcast, after this recording, were to go, I'm going live on Mixer. It was still live, and they still hadn't addressed it. Dude, I think they would have shut down based on the fact that everyone's like, screw this platform.
Yeah.
But it's very tricky as a business. It's not hard to address it as a business. You just have to be very profound, straight to the point, and just say, we're listening and we get it, and we're going to deal with it accordingly. People like, they'll retweet it on Twitter, they'll share it on Instagram, they'll go, yes, little clap emojis. This is great. This is what I want in the streaming service. Thank you, Mixer. The fact that they didn't do it, man, that just speaks volumes. From no one. I don't know if even the people that generated or even created Mixer came out and said anything. I mean, that's just. I think that's just really saddening. I think it's really saddening that business owners like that would not even address something that's affecting their platform. I think I don't know if you guys know, but when the whole Uber, did you guys ever hear of that Uber situation a few years ago where the guy from Uber harassed an Uber driver?
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah. So there was the former head of Uber, CEO, got an Uber, and he harassed the driver, and the driver had a camera in his car, like most drivers do for security, and he sent the video to Uber and said, "This is your CEO," and the dude was berating him, and he got racial, and he tore him a new one. This is the CEO of Uber. Like, This is the boss. This is like, the head of Domino's Pizza spitting in your food. Like, it's almost like, what is happening? And Uber made a press release and said, effective immediately, we fired our CEO. They fired the guy that pretty much designed and was running Uber. I mean, what the hell? Like, it's the right thing to do, obviously. But the thing is that they reacted as a company and they went, we have to do something about it. The fact that Mixer did nothing, man, if you put it into perspective, had it happened on Twitch, you could be rest assured within 24 hours, Twitch would have done something.
Yeah, well, they did nothing for 24 hours at all, nothing. And then just, oh, by the way, this is us doing something. We're pulling the plug. This is your last date. You can stream.
and that's wrong. That's just that's not a way to handle anything. That's like being the bully of the school and the principal saying, "Did you bully this child?" "Oh, I'm leaving." It's like, okay, you're not really addressing the problem here. So yeah, it's nasty. But they pay the price. Had they not addressed it, I think people would have left anyway. So what do you do?
Yeah.
You got any thoughts on this one, Slindy?
Not really.
Not really?
Not this one. Nah.
No. How about you, Rack?
No, again, it just comes down to communication, and there was lack of, and yeah, had they like, I'm not sure if it would have helped or anything, but if they had have said, look, we're partnering up with Facebook, we're closing down Mixer, we'll do everything we can to help everyone either move onto the Facebook platform or just any sort of, I don't know, heart to it that may have helped them out, and stopped a lot of people and the anger, but that didn't happen. So
No, and I think I think even if this was a planned thing and they did it when they wanted to do it, they probably knew 90 something % of them aren't going to want to go to Facebook to stream to begin with. Like, I think, have you heard of any partner going to Facebook taking the partner deal? I've heard of like one or two tops.
Yeah.
One of the top guys, but other than that, no.
I think I remember like the Epic Mealtime guy streaming on Facebook and like Ronda Rousey sometimes, but apart from that,
it's just not what it is. That's not what Facebook is. No one goes there to watch people play games. It's just.
And even then, they're streaming from another platform anyway.
Yeah.
Like, they're using a service where you can stream to 3 different outlets at once. So it's not like they're actually logging into their Facebook, setting up a stream, and running it all through there anyway. So
yeah. People's biggest problem with Facebook is your real name is on there. People don't want your full name to be in every single chat, every stream. You can't, you can't modify that or make your alias or whatever. You have to chat in your full name, which nobody wants.
Exactly.
Yeah, I couldn't go to Facebook for the pure fact that sometimes my family watches. If one of them comments, then they're all exposed, and that's not what I want. I've got 5 underage sisters, man. Like, that's a no-go for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I was saying before, with the internet, they disagree within the stream. Some people don't have that built-in psychology to leave it at the streamer. They'll just go and message family being like, your son, the streamer, is blah, blah, blah. And you're like, this is ridiculous. I'm playing Grand Theft Auto and this guy's targeting my sisters now. Like, it's just, I totally agree. I mean, it's very risky to run it through Facebook.
Yeah.
Not only that, in regards to, I guess, interactions on Facebook and stuff, Lance, I know you did a little bit of streaming on Facebook, and obviously the interactions were next to non-existent.
I tried it out. I didn't do it for too long. What I found, anyway, was you go to Facebook, you scroll your feed. People would come across your feed. They might say "G'day," type one message, and then keep scrolling. So they're not there to stick around and watch people play games. They're there to look at their news feed, see what's happening through the day, and move on. If they come across you, they'll stick around for 5 seconds and then they'll bugger off again.
The moose, yeah. Even like, I used to spend, I've sort of slacked off a little bit, but I used to spend a lot of time sitting in streams. And there's been a couple of times I've been scrolling through Facebook and I see some gameplay and I'm just like, can't really be bothered watching that. So I don't know that Facebook streaming will really take off personally, because it's not a destination. It's just something that pops up.
Yeah.
Depends how they go. I mean, they are doing more than Mixer ever done. They've got it separated it. Facebook Gaming, there's a separate tab, there's a separate app for it just recently released. They're doing things, so they're trying at least, but still, it's Facebook. The quality's pretty crap as well from some of the streams I've watched. It's not great.
I don't think they're approaching it from an online alias perspective. Like they're not approaching it from a gamer tag. Hi, this is my persona online. They're just doing it as if it's almost like a social media add-on or a social media DLC. Like, now you can stream, and it's like your family and friends can watch you play video games, and it's like that's all well and good for social media. And if you want to do that and have your grandparents in Europe watch you play a game and be able to chat to you while you're gaming, that's fine. But you can't market it in the online persona game. Add my PSN, add my Xbox Live, add my Steam, whatever on Facebook. There's no way to do it. I think if you do like an invite only thing with like 10 people that are, let's say like MKAU did like a Facebook only thing, that's okay because we all know each other and it's like we can do it that way. But to broadcast publicly, yeah, I don't see it working to the same extent. I see it very much just being like an add-on, like, yeah, I'll stream on Facebook and see if I get the reach. I don't? Okay. So I don't think it'll compete at all. I just think it's a nice little add-on that they've worked out being able to do.
Do they even have a creative section, or is it just gaming at this point?
I couldn't tell you, to be honest.
Because a lot of content creators now are obviously going into, art sections, just chatting and all that, whereas Facebook gaming is pretty much just pure gaming.
Yeah, and I think it will be because
Yeah.
I think arguably 9 out of 10 streams around the world are just gaming.
Yeah.
And the other ones would be just chatting, or there'd be someone, doing something artistic like a speed drawing or a painting or something.
Yeah, well, that's it.
I think they've just flipped a coin and going, are we streaming or doing gaming? Gaming. And they've gone like that with it. But it's so, yeah, it just, like, even now, as you guys can probably see on camera, but not on the audio, for the people that are listening, I'm shifting uncomfortably in my chair because I just don't like the idea of Facebook doing gaming because, as we've already said, just the fact that some people out there on the internet can take things so personally and, the weird thing is that you've got people out there that are such computer wizards that within 5 minutes of you saying like, yeah, man, thanks for the follow, and then writing something in the chat and you miss it, they've gone, oh, that's a personal attack, and they've hunted down, your whole family. They've started spamming it. I don't like that. I just don't think there's enough privacy features in place for Facebook to even compete at all.
There's none. I mean, and then if you've got people that aren't, people that don't lock down their profile, you just have to have some weird creeper stalk on somebody, go to their profile and get God knows what kind of information from them,
Yeah, and that's not fun. And then that'll just, well,
yeah, I can't see any creative section. It all just looks like games to me, but I could be wrong. I can't see it though.
I mean, it'll do wonders for Twitch. It'll do wonders for people going, oh, I can have, anonymous sort of persona, if you will. Like, I don't have to go, hi guys, my name is blah blah blah. I live at blah blah blah. Thanks for joining my stream. And I think that's the beauty of having an online presence and a persona, is having that sort of, yeah, it's me, it's my face, but you don't know where I live, you don't know my real name, you don't know anything about me other than the fact that you tune in 3-4 times a week to see me play games. And even then, when you're grouped up in parties, it's not like, oh, hello, John, how are you? Like, you're not really using names. They just come up and they have your gamer tag name. And I think it's comforting to people, because a lot of people that stream may have social anxiety. And again, just the fact that social media is starting to do gaming, it just doesn't feel safe.
No.
It just feels irky.
So again, as someone looking from the outside in, what are your thoughts there, Brash? Much at all, or not really?
Well, I think the only thing you say yeah or nay, if I might be wrong, since I don't really have too much experience, but monetizing it as well, I think, or for the streamer, will be a lot difficult too. Because they said like Facebook is just, you go through and you just scrolling through, and then like I've done it too. I've seen a game, I'm like, oh, I like that game, and I'll like just click on it and like watch them for like 2 seconds and be like, oh shit, I got to get back to my day. And then, because yeah, for me, Facebook, I don't sit on Facebook for 3 hours straight watching one thing. I just scroll through, see if anything interests me, might read it, might look at it, and then I'm off again.
I'm finding myself less and less on Facebook. I might look through it once in the afternoon when I'm not so busy. I'll have a look through what I've missed. It's usually nothing, and I'm just finding myself not even going and checking Facebook all that much unless I'm posting something on the MKAU page. I mean, if I didn't have to, manage that page, I probably wouldn't even bother having a Facebook, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm about the same. The only thing I use it for is maybe if I direct message friends or something like that. Other than that, like I'll just, when I'm bored, scroll through and I might see a funny video of a dog playing with one of those bendable door latches.
Well, the good thing is you don't need Facebook to use Messenger.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's also the thing. Yeah, like you just have the Messenger app. But yeah, for me, I don't feel like streamers are going to get the most out of Facebook gaming.
I mean,
Facebook
does have stars that you can donate, which is like Twitch's bits and Mix's embers. So there is a way to support the streamer, but I don't know what they cost or how you even get it. I don't know whether there's any requirements to get stars or not enabled on your page. I couldn't tell you. I don't remember.
Yeah, but I just feel it with Facebook, like with Twitch, you're going to Twitch, you're going to watch a stream.
Yeah,
that's the whole reason of going to it.
Yeah.
Whereas Facebook, like, as I said, like my short attention span, I'll be watching a game and then up the top of my feed, I might see someone falling over and be like, oh, that looks funny, and then scroll up to that and have a look at that. So I just don't think it's going to hold attention.
No, fair enough. All right, well, obviously, two of the biggest names that were previously on Twitch, so Shroud and Ninja, got paid a lot of money to head over to Mixer. Their contracts obviously now null and void. So what do we think they might be doing? Do we think they might go to Twitch? Do we think they might go to YouTube? What do we think that these two are going to look at doing? Go back to home roots or what? You reckon they'll follow the money?
They don't have loyalty, man. I mean, when online personas get to a certain point where they have a cult following, and you know that wherever they go, people will follow in droves to go and see them stream. It'll just be a case of the money. I can guarantee if they did a banner saying Ninja returns to Twitch, people go, sweet, welcome home, and it'll be like business as usual. I think it's sadly, money talks, and given the amount of online power that those personas have, it's all about the money now for them. And it's fair enough, they worked hard, they got the following, they did it the genuine way. They didn't buy followers, like I think there's a thing you could do on Instagram where you could buy followers or something. I don't know, I never looked into it. But, they were real people, real accounts. It wasn't them having 50,000 email addresses, creating accounts and doing a following through fake accounts. It was them. So well done, the hard work pays off. But, will it be a case of loyalty or money? I think sadly it'll be money. But at the same time, it's business. It's not them trying to make it anymore. They've made it. So now it's all about business for them. Who's gonna pay the most? What's gonna get the most exposure? And where can they go with it? And they're no longer a persona. They're an image. They're a brand. Ninja is a brand now. He's graduated from being a streamer to a brand. And I think it's a business now. It's like going from being a family restaurant to being McDonald's. You're no longer a family restaurant. You're a food chain. You're a global entity. And you can't think about, well, if we open a store here, is everyone going to come? It's like, well, yeah, because we like the food and we like following you. But at the end of the day, are you gonna build a McDonald's where you know there's some family and friends, or are you gonna build one in the downtown city where you're gonna get the most exposure and they're gonna pay you to be there? I'm gonna go with the city because I'm getting paid to be there and I'm guaranteed exposure and customers. So I think with Ninja, I don't really know the other guy. I know of Ninja. I think it just comes down to money, man. But where he
Yeah.
ends up, who knows?
I think there's a reason why we haven't heard from any of them yet. It's because they're just waiting for someone to offer them the biggest deal, and they'll just take, like James said, they'll just take the one with the biggest offer. Pretty much, they don't care who it is. They're just sitting back waiting for the offers to roll in.
Yeah.
How about yourself, Slender? You got some input on this one?
Oh, I mean, realistically, I don't feel like Ninja will go back to Twitch after what happened with him. Like there was some pretty bad shit that they allowed to happen onto his profile and whatnot. I feel like it's just not an option for him, Twitch itself. I feel like he's more YouTube or something like that, but I reckon Shroud will probably end up going back to Twitch. Especially with Dr. Disrespect gone, there's going to be a lot more for him there.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think YouTube is probably starting to become more of an option for a lot of these big guys.
I mean, and it's kind of a basketball shot from the car park here. But if you think about it, in terms of online streaming, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if in the next year, of all people to launch one, I wouldn't be surprised if something like Hulu, Stan, or Netflix did like a gaming service. If they ran under the Netflix umbrella, Netflix presents online gaming. I mean, you already got an account. Your favorite streamers are now on Netflix. Cool. There's a documentary about them. They stream using Netflix's umbrella. That's a possibility for them. I mean, Netflix control online subscriptions and, boosting out content. I mean, as if you guys wouldn't be able to see. I mean, people out there are listening and you guys here now, could you not see Netflix original Ninja streaming? I mean, I could see that as a banner. I could see that as a thing coming up in like the next year or so because they have the power to do it.
I think a lot of us smaller streamers and everyone might be too afraid to start getting on board with these unknowns, though, for the
That's
fear of them just shutting them down again when it just doesn't suit them.
Yeah, but that's the power of business, though. I mean, that's the same with Netflix, though. I mean, when Netflix did the whole thing with the Marvel TV shows, arguably a good 60% of their streaming around that time was those Netflix shows: Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage. And then out of nowhere, they're like, "Cool, so we're done with that." What? Why? Oh, I don't know. We're just over it. Oh, okay. But it had a very long, successful run, and it got to maybe its peak. Maybe it started to dip a bit. Who knows? But again, it comes back to money. Netflix, as we all know, Netflix will throw money at anything. I mean, you could pitch a movie to Netflix now, like, great, here's $2 billion. What? Go make it. See ya. And you're like, oh, okay, Netflix money. And it's really interesting that not a lot of cinematic actors are making cinematic movies. They're making Netflix movies. Adam Sandler. I mean, Uncut Gems is insane, but he did that through Netflix. So I don't see the possibility of them reaching out to these streamers. If not streaming, at least they'll do like maybe a documentary. Maybe they'll do a like what happened, blah blah blah. And again, it's money. It gets them out there again. And maybe at the end of the series, they're like, oh, P.S. Ninja will return to blah 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 at this date. You'll go, cool, and it all sort of ties together. But yeah, I think definitely follows the money. Sadly.
Yeah, agree.
So on that note, as you said, phase with the Marvel characters and stuff that Netflix did.
Yeah.
Do you think that this could possibly be the start of a downfall in streaming in terms of video game streaming?
Well, I don't know if video game streaming as a whole will see a downfall in the sense of like viewership that the Marvel TV shows goes, because Netflix sort of had Netflix had total control over that. Marvel was just sort of providing the content and the licensing. Because there's a variance of platforms available to stream, I think there'll always be an avenue and always be an outlet. Much like, there's, I mean, how many streaming services are there in Australia now alone? And half of them you're like, what the hell is this? Like, Hey Ya and KO and What's Up and Who's That Over There? And you're like, what are these streaming services? Like, there's so many now. But I think when streamers get to that certain point where they're no longer viewed as a person, they're viewed as an image. Like Ronda Rousey, for example, you don't go in going, "Hi, Ronda," you view her as Ronda Rousey, the UFC fighter, the woman that dominated a fitness sport. She's an entity, she's an image, she's a character. These people that PewDiePie being another one, these people are no longer themselves. They are an internet personality. I think the thing that affects streaming services too much is the fact that these people get to a certain point where they say and do things that make them human, but it's in the most negative way, whether it be, racial outbursts, whether it be getting very volatile and angry at other players, whether it be harassing people on the chat. I think they have to be put under stricter guidelines and basically, at the end of the day, just told to behave. Because the more and more personalities that come out and the more and more times that we see this kind of behavior, maybe then, Mel, that I'll agree with your point of, yeah, I can see a downfall happening, because it goes from being something that you want to escape to and you want to watch and you want to engage with. You want to go, yeah, this is fun. I can just watch this guy stream. Oh, it's so funny when he gets killed. He has the funniest reactions. And then what happens then is it goes from being a persona. They start acting all aggressive and they start doing things like that. And they then go and become something that comes and creates a negative nature. And you then go, man, I don't really want to watch this anymore because it's just toxic. And when it becomes toxic, the last thing you want to do is sit there and watch it on a Wednesday night. And then I can agree with you and say, yeah, I can see a downfall now, because much like I was saying earlier, the internet it has a very much a sponge mentality. If you're looking to someone like Ninja as someone you're like, oh man, I'd love to get to his credibility. I'd love to get to his exposure. I'd love to get to his view counts or his follow count or whatever it is that you're aspiring to be like with him, you kind of absorb a lot of the good traits, but at the same time, you also absorb a lot of the negative traits. And you view that as, oh, well, he does it, then I can do it. And when that happens, I think a lot of times the toxicity is the main thing that sort of goes, well, this is okay because this guy does it and he gets away with it. And I think then maybe the online streaming platform, then if it gets to that stage, I think then it would become, I'd start being a bit concerned if everyone starts sort of behaving like that. But so far so good. These are only two very big name prime examples of currently, just bad circumstantial things. But I think as long as the toxicity gets cleansed, and they're very good with it. We've seen channels be suspended. We've seen, e-girls and things like that be taken down, accounts be suspended, banned, whatever. So it's not like it's a free-for-all, Mad Max into the Thunderdome. Everyone's like, you will stream, and they start, going at it with swords and things like that. It is being well contained, and it's not to the extent that it's negative already. But I think when, video gaming streaming as much as at how much has exploded in the last 3 years, give or take, I think we also have to be very consistent and make sure that we create a good outlet and a good vibe, and make sure that the negative energy kind of just doesn't become, let's say it doesn't become a feature of your stream, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from completely. What about you, Brush? Have you got any thoughts on this one?
No, I don't think it's going to decline anytime soon, especially as me being a viewer of a lot of streaming. I don't see a decline as long as people are still being creative. I can see the difficulties in people trying to stay creative, because if you look at it now, you can look up anything and it's already been presented. So just trying to be unique, I guess, is probably the hardest thing that'll come from people trying to stream, especially people new to streaming. Just trying to just break out from just the usual role of the amount of games being like singular games that so many people stream. Like you can go onto Twitch and have a look at League of Legends, and there's 100 and something streams of League of Legends, and you'll go through a few of them. One will have 1 view, one will have 4 views, and then someone will have 5,000 views. So I think it's just the struggle of just trying to break out, I think.
Yeah, no, fair enough. How about you, Subby? What are your thoughts on that one?
No, I don't think it's going to ever go anywhere, to be honest. I think it'll evolve. I don't know what into, but it'll probably change over time. You'll have different generations coming and going. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, though. I think it'll always be around. There might be more platforms to choose from, might be less. I don't know. I think there's, I just think there's, like James said, I reckon it wouldn't surprise me if, like, there's already rumors of Spotify possibly bringing out a streaming platform. That way, you can play the licensed music through the streams where it's been deemed as a no-go for everywhere else. But people will try it. They'll either succeed, they'll either won't. I just think it'll just change. I don't think it's going anywhere, though.
Yeah, fair enough. Slendy, what about yourself?
Yeah, well, realistically, I don't think it could go anywhere with the generation that we have now, especially with like companies, esport companies, that is, where you've got featured tournaments and everything like that. Like, there's always going to be that, especially with things like now where COVID happened. Everyone's, instead of doing LAN, they're all doing normal tournaments that we would do, from sitting at home everywhere, and they're all just streaming it that way. We're always going to have video game streams, realistically. When you look at that, it's becoming a lot more of a trend now, and the generation that's coming is all about electronics and computers and everything like that. So we're always going to have a streaming aspect in that sense. So I don't think it's going to die out in that regard. But like Brash said, creativity, a lot of it's dying. Not many people have it in them to be unique, to be original. It's all copyright. In that regard, like everyone's doing the same thing over and over again, it's going to die. So you got to, unless you're going to be more creative than the next person, as a singular stream, like a personal stream, yeah, I can see that kind of dying eventually. Or at least not having as many people on it, having more viewers per se. But when it comes to the big events, the competitions and everything like that, we're always going to have those, at least now, from now on,
Yeah, I think COVID's changed that quite a bit. I think it's just a no-brainer now. If you would have asked this prior to March, might have been a different answer. But online's big now, bigger than it already was. So
and the cool thing is with esports and things like that. I mean, not to poke fun at the whole thing, but you can still have your esports, and the guys can arguably, you could. I assume a lot of them are hosted either in Europe or in America, and they could socially distance sit apart in masks and still do esports. They can still do their championships. I mean, you can't do that with like soccer or basketball or any sort of contact sport. Pass the ball a meter and a half away. Wear a mask. It's a bit. So and that's the beauty of online gaming in the digital age, is that it's able to adapt and continue. And I think amongst all things that were affected during COVID, not only did sort of humanity's creativity go up, like I think everyone sort of was like, I'm going to learn this skill now that everything's sort of on hold. But yeah, video game streaming and esports and essentially, all of us content creators and gamers and things like that, it just skyrocketed. I think if you go back and look at maybe Sony and Microsoft and Steam sales within the last 3 months, it would have been arguably double that, or if not close to their summer or Christmas sales. And this is like, we're talking March. And when has March ever been a big release for anything? You know, and that's the power of video gaming. And I agree. I don't think it'll go anywhere. It has to change and adapt. I totally agree with what the dais of the team we have here today on this podcast is, that it has to adapt. It has to evolve.
Yeah.
Because content creators can only do so much. Streamers can only do so much. But the more interactivity that we provide for viewers, it sort of generates that unique ability. Like, oh, you got to watch this guy every Wednesday. He'll raffle off this, or every Thursday he does a live stream where he goes to EB Games or something. And the first 10 people to comment, he'll buy a game and he'll stream it the next day. Whatever, something. But
Let me just write these ideas down. Just hang on a second.
Damn it. But it's one of those things where I think it's a very niche and lucky market, because video game has such a long history, and it has a long secure history. I don't remember there ever being a time where video games just stopped. It's always been there. Since Atari, since Super Nintendo, you name it, there has been evolution to it. There's been a consistent influx and flow with video games. And arguably, it's one of the most adaptable hobbies, if not digital entity, in the world. So I think there'll always be an avenue for video games. And I think that online streaming services, to put it bluntly, have to catch up with video games. Otherwise, they're just going to fall flat. Who would have thought 10 years ago we could stream in 4K? That's nuts. Can platforms provide that? Yes. Can they stabilize that? And I think that's what, it's a two-way street. We can't be asked to go buy a $700 console, buy TVs and cables and capture services that are going to capture 4K. And then the streaming services goes, all right, so you want to stream in 1080p? No, I want to stream in 4K. All right, 720 it is. What the hell? Like, why did I just spend arguably $3,000 to go stream DVD quality? So I think, and that needs to be a consistent across the board thing. Just one of many avenues that need to be constant with any sort of field in terms of streaming. You can't just have one platform that goes, so for about 2 hours you can do 720, and on Wednesdays you can do 1080. No, I don't want to stream. I don't want to subscribe to that. So I think streaming services have to catch up to video games, and so far it feels neck and neck. But I feel like with the next gen, it's really going to be a big change in time. And with Xbox and PS5, I think it's going to be very interesting to see the first couple of streams with those consoles, because I can guarantee you there'll be issues, and it'll be lag, number one. And it won't be on the webcam side, it'll be on the capture side, because these guys need to catch up to what's being put out there.
Fair enough. All right, well, I think that probably wraps things up, unless anybody has anything they want to discuss that maybe they had noted down and we didn't touch on.
I mean, speaking of the new consoles, what's next for Xbox and streaming wise? The only reason I discovered Mixer was because of Xbox. It was the only thing I could stream to. So what's now? What happens on the 22nd? Where can you stream? What's going to happen to that?
What they've already done, I know you've been disconnected from your
mate,
Xbox for a while, mate.
So you're
a little bit out of the loop. But what they've done is they've already patched out broadcasting from the Xbox.
Yeah.
And updated the Twitch app.
So you can now go back to, because I remember originally you could do it to Twitch.
Correct. Yep.
So
now you can go back through Twitch, the Twitch app, and stream.
Right. So they basically do a merger with Facebook and say, all right, now you can bugger off to Twitch because we don't want to support that on the console.
Who knows?
So, like,
Again, who
what is
knows
that?
what their train of thought is? I don't know. All I know is, yes, they've fixed up the Twitch have updated their. I would assume Twitch has updated their app so that you can stream from the Xbox. Because I know Jim Sparrow has been going back to streaming to Twitch from the Xbox.
I said this last episode. I'll say it again. How good's PlayStation?
Oh, mate, really?
Look, to be
Yes.
honest with you, I'm done with Microsoft now. So yeah, I'll give you half a point.
Yes, so good. I'm extremely excited and can't wait.
Oh,
However,
Buying the new
Honest to God.
PlayStation for the exclusives and anything that I could get on Xbox, I can pretty much get from PC now. So I'm good on that
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. Xbox have made it a little bit too easy now just to play their first party games just on a PC. So they kind of shoot themselves in the foot a little bit, not requiring to buy their console for any reason.
yeah,
Um,
don't get that, Sony.
however, I will say now and in front of everyone, I am going to buy a Xbox if the Fable rumors are true and they are bringing out a Fable 4.
I would assume they will. I think they are.
Yeah.
That and also just maybe so I can get Gears of War because Laura Bailey.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. Well, I think that about sums it up for this episode. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe, comment, all that wonderful fun stuff. You can buy merch. I'll get Lance to drop a link down the bottom in description if you're on YouTube. But otherwise, yeah, thanks very much for joining us, guys, and all the best. Hopefully this Corona thing's over and done with soon, so we can go back to normal streams or normal podcast. There we go. And blooper. Anyway, yeah, no, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks, mate. See yous.
Thanks, guys. See ya.